that you hit that share button, hit the like button. Go ahead and comment along if you have any questions about stress. We're going to be talking to Dr. Aaron Chapa of the Living Well Clinical Nutrition Center. So let's go ahead and kick it on the FM and get things going. Good morning, good morning. This is KHEA Radio 99.5 FM. This is Kickstart. I'm Kurt, and we are going to be talking today about stress with Dr. Aaron Chapa of the Living Well Clinical Nutrition Center in League City. So let's go ahead and bring him on. And you'll notice if you're watching on Facebook or social media, he's definitely in the Christmas spirit.
Absolutely, brother. I'm in the Christmas spirit. I'm glad to be here as usual. And we got to bring some joy to people. Doesn't it look like Christmas just got a hold of me this morning? And I'm feeling clauses.
We've actually haven't even started playing Christmas music here at KHEA Radio. We keep getting asked, when are we going to do it? When are we going to make the switch? And we haven't made the switch yet. I'm one of those people who, I feel like we spend, months celebrating and getting ready for Christmas. And I'm one of those people that's you can almost get too much Christmas. And this may be the definition of too much Christmas, Dr. Chapa.
Oh, come on. Oh, come on. This is great. I mean, who else do you know that would walk around in a green Santa suit and with red shoes? The only thing I need is the little Santa hat. That's what I'm missing, I think. But I figured my curly hair would suffice.
Somebody said they're terrified.
Yes. Hey, easy. I'm watching these terrified comments. No, welcome the terrified comments. If it can't bring a smile to your face, what are you talking about today? Recognizing that we're in more control than we realize all too often, especially during the holiday season when stresses, hustle and bustle seem to grip us, seem to really push us in a negative way because we're trying to, figure out what we're going to buy for our family members, or if we can afford to buy things for our family members, or if we've got last year's bills we're still trying to pay off. You know what I mean? That's where some people are at. And then, let's not forget there's still deadlines that can't be controlled, and there's life circumstances that are occurring day in and day out, and recognizing that there's things that you can't control, but there is a lot of things that you can control. And we want people to know at Living Well Clinical Nutrition Center, our vision is to get sick people well without drugs and surgery, and to help these sick, particularly walking around with symptom patterns that they were not genetically born with, to live well and feel empowered, to feel educated, to know what to do when life stresses happen. And that's pretty much what we're doing every day, is teaching people how to live better, be better, stay better without drugs, without surgeries, and give them tools in their arsenal. So when the stress thermometer rises and they're starting to melt, starting to burn, starting to really overheat and starting to overreact, they have tools, things like a Debaton, one of my stress trios. Whenever we use these three products, that's something simple that they can use in the moment and control stress and get it under control so that they're responsive to their environment, not overly reactive. So good morning to all. Living Well Clinical Nutrition Center, KHEA Radio, is here to serve you and give you enlightenment and encouragement and hope that you can live better and be better one bite at a time.
I love this topic of stress because I feel like it's something that everybody has dealt with probably at one point in their life. And if somebody says that they have not dealt with stress at some point, they're lying.
That's
right.
They're right.
And it comes in all different forms. It might be stress about where your next meal may come from. It might be stress about your friendship or your relationship, or stressing out about somebody showing up in green and Santa Clauses and ties. That might be stress for somebody,
I'm sure it will be stress for somebody. But I do hope that it brings some shock factor, that there is still something to be joyful about, and that you can recognize that we shouldn't just take ourselves way too serious, and we got to I think that we need to chill out a lot.
So that's kind of the topic of today, is things that you can control and things that you can't control. And, there are things that happen in life, illnesses, death, losing your job. there are negative things that are going to show up every single day in your life. And we talked a little bit about this last week, and how it's all about kind of the perception that you take. You know, Pastor Walter Hallam, who pastors over KHEA radio, has always, I always said like this, I had a bad day once. I didn't like it. So I chose never to have another bad day again. And for me, that's interesting because it's about the mindset. You can have a bad day, but if you say it's a bad day, then it's going to be a bad day.
It's amazing. You have so many faculties in your brain. I'm just sitting here thinking how I want to say this, but you have two sides of your brain. You've got Mr. Triumph and Mr. Defeat, or if you're a female, it'd be Mrs. Triumph and Mrs. Defeat. And if you speak death and you speak negativity, your Mrs. Defeat will show you death and negativity and why today's not going to be a good day. And then on the same side of on the same coin, but the opposite side, Mr. and Mrs. Triumph, if you speak life and today's going to be a terrific day, you can find stuff to be more happy about. You can find things to be thankful about. You can find things that you can be grateful about, even if you really do have stuff going on. And I remember reading a book, called "There's No Such Thing as a Bad Day," and it was about a guy who had 3 different types of cancer and beat all 3 types of cancer. I had no idea what the book was about. I just picked it up at the audio book library, and just was needing to listen to something, and that's just what I picked out. I was just kind of curious. Oh, no such thing as a bad day. And he just talks about like how each cancer, not only did he beat each cancer, he talks about his attitude going through the cancer and how much mindset played a part. And I'm not talking about, claim it or name it and claim it and things like that, not recognizing that really bad things do happen and tragedies do occur, because, obviously that's being irrational. But I do know that most of the time, we make mountains out of what? Molehills. You know what I mean?
was going to say cheese, but
no,
you
and
molehills.
Cheese. You and cheese. We've got to somehow clean out that cheese receptacle in your brain and replace it with goodness. No, that just contaminates you. But if there's no such thing as a bad day, and how could a guy with 3 different types of cancer over the several a decade of his life, he raised a family, he supported his wife, and he lived well, his attitude set the tone. And I think that recognizing there's things that you can't control. You can't control the weather, you can't control traffic, you can't control elections or other people. I know some of you out there, the control freaks, y'all really want that last one to work for you, is to control other people. But be alert, that God is in control of all things. He's in control. We're not. And recognize what is not in your control. Just accept it. That is a hard thing that I think people have a hard time doing.
I feel like that's the one key that, I feel like people who are kind of control want to have that control. They want to be able to be like, oh, traffic, I'm stuck in traffic.
Part the Red Sea, God.
Right. And so they they find ways to get around. If you've ever been on I-45 over here and there's traffic and there's construction or there's an accident, right? You'll see people will go off the road and over into the feeder.
Yeah.
They'll just, I'm going to go right through the grass over here. I don't care. Even though it's illegal, they want to have that control, and I feel like that's hard for people to give up sometimes.
There's no doubt. I think that all of us we're selfish, we're control freaks. We want it our way, and it's just not reality. A lot of times there's always a dance, and it always takes 2 to tango, and especially when you're dealing with other people. So if you have people in your life that are energy suckers, that are stressful to you, you might need to evaluate relationships. There's always, I've seen, diagrams where you've got your intimate circle, you've got your friend circle, you've got your external friend circle, and then you've got acquaintance circles, and where do people fit inside of your circles? And the reality is you really can't have well, I don't know if I don't know if this might not be exactly true. I don't want to say can't or never, you know what I mean? But it's difficult to have deep relationships with a lot of people because they require a great deal of time. And so in the seasons of life, you're always moving people in and out of certain relational circles, and some you're trying to keep a lifeline with by sending a birthday text or a birthday phone call. Some you're having a little bit more monthly or quarterly conversations with. Some you're having daily conversations with, and some you're like texting and you never miss a phone call from them. I mean, so relationships are a really major stressor I see for people, and this is something that happened just yesterday. Well, I've been observing this for months, and this whole business of people being in lockdown and the masks separating and creating division for the COVID people, and how social we really are as a body. Like this idea that, I'm antisocial, or I'm a hermit crab, I'm a homebody, I don't want to be around people. It's not true. It's not true. Like mass majority of people need social interaction to some degree, to some level. And I had the lady come in yesterday, goes, every time they push our work, coming back to work day back another month, it's like it lets the air out of my sail. Like I need to know that my life is more than just working out of my apartment.
One of the things that I struggle with is even if I'm at home for, like, let's say if I take a day and I just stay at home all day,
right?
I hate that. Like, it drives me nuts. My body feels disgusting. I feel disgusting. I need to be.
Is it because you're eating cheese?
Probably. There's a secret stash. There's a secret stash in the fridge that I keep back for those days when I stay at home. But I need to be active. I need to be up and moving around, and that's hard for some people to do sometimes.
It is, and so just recognize that if know that God is in control, and recognize that you're not, and accept what you can, and accept that you're not in control of other things, and acknowledge what is in your control. Take responsibility for it. A lot of times when people get angry at certain subject matter, whether it's political, whether it's spiritual, whether it's something in their business, it's because they have not taken full responsibility for it. And when you start taking responsibility for your life and stop blaming other people for your life circumstance, what winds up happening is you start finding a level of confidence and a level of control that you were longing for all along, just by taking responsibility for what you can control. And just don't put unrealistic expectations on others. And I think that's an important factor, moving forward, knowing that there are obvious stresses that are coming at us all, and we're all dealing with it. Like this, so let's get into like what you can control. I mean, so like we know that stress is happening. We know that the hustle and bustle of the holidays is a real deal, and deadlines are real, and trying to get to your the end goal here, and where are we going? But what can you do to manage stress? And so one of the things that people forget that is so easy but sometimes difficult if your body is lacking in nutrition. And at Living Well Clinical Nutrition Center, we're all about finding those underlying deficiencies and help your body get back on track. Sleep is one of the most important control factors that you can take responsibility for. And if you struggle with falling asleep, that is an indicator, check engine light, that your body symptomatically is lacking in minerals. And when it comes to sleep, if you are up all night staring at the ceiling, wondering why you can't fall asleep, that's an indicator light that your adrenal glands are overworked, and they're not able. You're so cortisol driven and so epinephrine driven and adrenaline driven that your body doesn't have the resources to calm your nerves so that you can shut down and go into a deep sleep state. And people forget that, or assume that, I'm tired, I should just close my eyes and boom, I'm gone. And if that's you, man, be thankful, because there's a lot of people that will take hours to fall asleep. And then once they're asleep, they're only asleep for an hour or two, and their body's bink right back up. And that's because their blood sugar dropped, or their cortisol levels are too high, which push their blood sugar up. And these are all things that can be managed. And so these are nutritional things that we can do and help you with at our office. But what if it's something even simpler than that? What if you just need to turn the screen off? You know what I mean?
Right.
How many people are up swiping up and down, looking at different videos and reading different articles or looking at pictures, and they don't realize that, number one, there is electromagnetic stress coming out of this phone that is, it's a battery. It's charging them up. There's blue light that charges them up. And even the skin cells, the melanocytes in your skin can see that blue light, and it stimulates the body to stay awake.
Have you? So I remember as a young kid even that people would say, "Man, I can only fall asleep if I'm listening to like punk rock music." And to me, I was like, "What the heck? Like how? How can you fall asleep listening to punk rock music?" Or like people who have to have Netflix on the TV as they're falling asleep. Like I can definitely hear my neighbor watching movies late at night, falling asleep, and like wake up in the morning and this, the TV's still going. So I know he fell asleep like
sooner
that.
or later, right? But here's what's interesting is we find that, like I was just seeing if I could pull it real quick, sometimes we need, you can use music to put yourself to sleep, but like, for example, when we listen to music in our house, when we're going to sleep, it's things that are calming. And I was just seeing if I had it. Yeah, we listened to like this little app, or it's called 432 Hertz Miracle Sleep. And it's the best sleep relaxing music. And it resonates with your brain waves to help your body go into a resonant state of solitude where you can rest. Because the life is loud.
Right.
So if people can, I would say that neurologically, there is something to when people go to sleep to weird things like punk rock music. I'm thinking,
can't believe that.
I'm thinking that their body might be what we call neurologically disassociated. Like what normally would pump you up is making you sleepy, and what would normally would calm you down is stimulating. And we have patients that are that way, and we typically find that there is some sort of metal or chemical burden that their bodies are carrying. The liver's overworked, the kidneys are overworked, their detox pathways are clogged up, and we have to remineralize them and help their body eliminate these chemicals and find these chemicals and metals that they're being, that are building up in their tissues, and then work on those tissues. So like we can target the liver to detoxify more effectively. We can target lymph nodes to release certain types of trash and toxins more effectively just through support. I mean, you'd be surprised running a bottle of Spanish black radish through your lymphatics, what it can do to clean out your lymph system, or taking Thymex and helping to stimulate T-cell production so that your immune system is more alert, so that when it's going and seeing, oh, that's a bad guy, kill it off, and then the Spanish radish can wash it out. And when you deburden the body often enough, the body is not trying to juggle so much. And then when it's something like sleep, your body's able to like pull B vitamins and pull minerals into the sleep vat so that your body is more concentrated on the sleep cycle, circadian rhythm, and you go into a deep sleep state. The body is constantly shifting in and out of different rhythmic patterns, and sleep is just one of these key ingredients to managing and controlling stresses.
You're listening to 99.5 FM KHEA Radio. It is 9:25. Hey, if you're listening on social media, you have a chance to share this out, tell a friend. We're going to be talking about stress and things that you can't and can control throughout this program. If you're listening on 99.5 FM, go check us out on Facebook. You can actually tune in and follow along, see Dr. Chapa wearing a green suit with Santas, and it's hard to describe what's going on that suit.
He told me that Christmas vomited on me. I don't like vomit, Kurt. It makes me nervous. No, hey, it's okay. This is good. Me and Santa are one today.
So one of the things that I wanted to talk about was sleep. You mentioned that our cell phones, right? And I'm probably one of the worst at doing that, where I'm up at night playing my games, going through scrolling, and I'll sit there for maybe like 20, 30 minutes before I finally put the phone away. Is there a healthy way to
unwind
and start preparing for sleep? Can you talk a little bit about that?
You bet. Number one, make sure that you have a sleep schedule. I mean, there's even a sleep built into my iPhone, and I'm sure on Android, that there is an alarm clock,
Right.
but there's also a sleep reminder that will pop up and tell you it's time for sleep. And one of my patients, it would always be crickets, and so it'd be like the crickets at night that are cricketing. I think that's a word. We're gonna go with cricketing. But a sleep schedule. Knowing what time do you need to get up in the morning and how many hours do you need. So the average, knowing, number one, first and foremost, how many hours a night do you need in order to minimally function tomorrow?
Mine is 12. I know it's 12.
Oh, well.
But Gardy and the rest of the staff here never let me get 12 hours of sleep.
I know. I can only imagine. It's a busy place. Well, so here's the deal. Science has shown us that 6 hours is like minimum, right? It's like if you're 6 hours minimum sleep, you can function the next day. And so the body sleeps in what we call an hour and a half sleep circadian rhythm. So it rotates every hour and a half. It's going through a cycle, and you need to have 4 to 5 cycles a night. So 6 to 7.5 hours is like the gold standard. 6 to maintain brain optimal function, the brain to effectively clean itself and bathe itself, and then program long-term memory. What you learned yesterday will get stored in long-term memory data pools or added to old files. And if you're not getting good sleep, that doesn't happen. And so if you know you got to get up at 6, then you got to calculate back what time you got to go to bed to make sure that you at least hit the 6 mark. But if you know, man, I've had a rough week, or I had a long weekend, or I've traveled a lot, and you need that extra hour, you need to make sure that you budget that in to your morning routine. That way you're not getting up and then flying out the door like a banshee. Like, we don't want that. Starting your day stressed out is no way to unwind effectively at the end of the day. So a sleep circadian rhythm is very important. 1, know what your tomorrow looks like, and 2, recognize that you at least need 6 and potentially 7.5, maybe even 9 hours of sleep to be most effective for healing and regenerative and detoxifying correctly.
One of the things that I've noticed too is getting on a proper, not just sleep schedule, but also eating schedule. Because if you're eating late at night, it can wreck the entire falling asleep. You're just not ready.
When you think about what is the definition of food? Food is to nourish us, strengthen us. It's to lift us up. It's to help give us energy and sustain life, right?
Right.
So if you eat a meal at 10 o'clock, that meal might sustain you energetically for 3 hours. So you might not really be ready for sleep until 11, 12, 1 o'clock.
Right.
Right? And worse is that you need a 3-hour fast before bed so that all the blood is now readily available for the brain to get its brain bath. The brain inside the first 2 cycles of sleep gets a brain bath. It literally takes a bath, and there's a lot of blood flow necessary for that appropriate cleansing, that bathing to occur. That's before the body even tries to start storing long-term or short-term memory to long-term through the hippocampus. And so it's really fascinating. And so people typically are reaching to what? The screens, TVs, and I guess punk rock music and alcohol for their nighttime routines to calm the mind. And so alcohol, really, you should be stopping that 6 hours before bed because it stresses out the liver, it stresses out GI tract, it puts blood flow in the wrong department, and your brain doesn't get its necessary needs met, and therefore it ain't going to hurt you tonight, and it's not going to hurt you tomorrow night. But what winds up happening is over time, it will begin to take a toll, and it is just you're investing in the wrong piece of the health curve. You're going down the slippery slope to symptom land as opposed to the rising tide of good health and vibratory longevity, something that you can depend on and that you're looking forward to day in and day out. So make sure that you're not eating 3 hours before bed. You're not drinking alcohol 6 hours before bed. And I know some of you guys are trying to turn the radio. Don't do that. Stop. Or you're trying to Don't do that. Hang on. We're going to keep going, and it's okay. Typically, Dr. Chapa's rule with alcohol is never more than twice a week and never back-to-back days. You got to give your body time to recover and regenerate if that's your thing, and if it is your thing, we have to ask some of those other questions. What are some of the other natural ways that we can calm the mind? Do you realize minerals, so taking adequate calcium, magnesium, could calm your brain, calm your muscles, calm your body down very nicely in the evening? There are plenty of, I use different herbs, valerian root, skullcap, St. John's, shatavari, damiana, all these different herbs. We have these in like a little combo pack called Nevaton, and we have a product called Tranquinol and Sleep Force, and guess what those are used for? Those are tapping into different neurotransmitters to help the brain start shutting down. They're not going to knock you out like a sleep aid would, right? But they're going to calm your brain, they're going to calm your body, and they're going to prepare your body. If you've set your house up appropriately and you don't have it lit up like Fort Knox, then guess what? You're going to fall asleep in a nice, healthy way. And that's something very valuable that you can control.
All this talk about sleep is making me want to go back to bed. I just think of my bed right now, and I'm like, man.
I got a pillow for Black Friday. My wife surprised me. Because I'm always looking for pillows. Like, we were in this place in Fredericksburg, and I spent way too much money on this pillow because it looked really comfy, but I bought the wrong size. And it props me up too much. And I'm like, it's so sad because it's such a really nice pillow, but it doesn't serve me. But she found a cooling pillow that fit, and it's thin, and man, I love it. Thank you, honey, for doing that. It's so kind of you.
We should start giving gifts on Black Friday. Here's your Black Friday gift.
Here's your Black Friday gift. I'm telling you,
I
dude.
love any time that somebody can give gifts. I'm just like, let's add it. Let's every day.
That sounds great to me.
By the way, pillows, important part of sleep too.
Yeah, no question.
I have to take my pillow with me when I go to hotels and stuff. Like, if I go to a hotel to sleep, it's gonna be a terrible night of sleep. I just know it's going to be. It's never the right kind of pillow. You're just used to that thing, that one mechanism that makes you sleep.
But isn't that something that you can control? I mean, it's not always convenient to tote a pillow with you, but if that's something you can control that will give you a good night of sleep, that's something that's worth investing in yourself for and going through that heartache of taking that with you, because good sleep will lengthen your stress management curve. Good sleep will allow your body to be able to tolerate more bandwidth tomorrow, because you don't know what tomorrow's going to bring.
Right.
I mean, if I told you what I did this morning, we just can't talk about it. I mean, it was not pretty. Wait a second. Hey, don't be looking at my suit.
Oh, you weren't talking about your suit.
No, this is perfect. This is perfect. All right, let's talk about more things you can control. We can control sensitivities. So if you remove what we call the top 14 inflammatory foods, if you're wondering what those are, and you're following us on Facebook, like us, share us, comment, ask for a copy of the top 14 food inflammatory response that you should avoid, especially right up until Christmas, because we know that you're going to get into a pie or you're going to get into some of these foods. And I know a lot of you think sugar's at the top of that list, but the reality is it's not. Sugar's actually, I believe, number 14, and the reason it's so low on the list is I had to add it, but because your body doesn't like sugar, it's poisonous to the body. But sugar today is not even in a food. It's not food. It's adulterated to a point where it's a chemical. And so it messes with our blood sugar. It stresses our adrenals. And if you've ever read Nancy Appleton's Lick the Sugar Habit, it is a fantastic read about just how much sugar, or if you've seen That Sugar film on the sugar documentaries out there, fantastic documentary. I mean, you don't even have to watch all of it. I've seen it so many times, though. It's cleverly done, but it just shows the implication of sugar and its impact on the cell structure of our body, on our kids' health, on our elderly's health, on our developmental, and through midlife aging health, and how to do those things well. Sugar accelerates the aging process at all levels, and it causes and wreaks havoc everywhere. It causes disease, feeds disease, it stimulates infection, feeds infection. I mean, it is definitely something that needs to be addressed, but it's not in the top. But it's number 14 on the list, because there's other things that are bigger fishes to fry, that are real foods that you're getting into, and so you can look at some of those things. And so we know that when like I have patients right now, they don't want to gain 10 pounds, 15 pounds. The average American's putting on like 10 pounds during the holidays. And a lot of people put on the COVID-15 over the last, several months trying to figure out, are we in a famine, or are we just partying, or are we just kind of managing? I don't, we don't know. Nobody knows what's going on right now. So, and so people have put on weight, and we have people doing 10-day detox programs to reset their blood sugar, or 10-day detox programs to clean out their liver so that it doesn't stockpile trash in the brain and the joints. And that way people's brain neurologically is more readily to think clearly and think responsibly and to think rationally, so that it's not being, deceived by whatever propaganda is coming through the airways and in the media ways, that we're getting exposed to. And so people are able to continue thinking when their brain is working. And so food causes your brain to work well, or food causes your brain not to work so well and inflame it to an unhealthy level. And so we look at these different types of food, and these detox programs can clean out buildup in the body, and will de-stress the body in such a way that the body just runs metabolically better. And instead of gaining 10 or 15 pounds during the holidays, you're maintaining, or you're actually losing. You're actually moving your health forward through a time where most people are kind of just coasting. And if you ever listen to John Maxwell, he always talks about, if you're coasting, really and truly, it means you're going backwards. I mean, like, it's really, you're slowing down. Coasting isn't moving forward per se. You still might have enough momentum to get you a little bit further down the road, but one, you're not going to get there as fast, and two, oftentimes you're more easily going to go backwards as that process goes. So do a 10-day detox with us. Let us help you clean out your joints, clean out your brain, and reset your blood sugar, and you'll be shocked at how your body will feel.
So I started a weight loss challenge a week ago.
You did?
I did. And part of the reason why we started it now is a lot of people wait until January 1 to make the change.
They do.
And it's like, oh, well, I'll just wait until January 1. And then they gain all this even more weight during the holiday season, and they're like, now 4 steps behind. And so we started this weight loss challenge, and I'm already feeling great. I started running again for the very first time since I lived in Omaha. So what would that have been, like 2013? 15? 13. 2013.
Yeah.
Yeah, I used to run all the time when I was a news reporter.
Oh, well, you mean through the hallways?
Yeah.
We talked about last week.
We
I remember. Yeah, had those special
also,
mirrors.
I actually started running. I wanted to be a professional golfer. Who doesn't? Who doesn't sit there and want to be a professional golfer at one point in their life? I did. And so I was like, well, I got to get in shape. So I started running and stretching, and my work schedule was a little better, where I didn't have to go in until like 1 o'clock, but I would work 1 until 10 o'clock news. And so I would wake up in the morning at like 8 and go for a run every morning. And I haven't done that since. And it felt so great. And that's one of the things that I wanted to transition a little bit to, not only just like, making sure that you don't gain weight, but finding those activities that really kind of open up your feelings, that mindset of, oh man, I'm doing great. Golfing.
Think about it.
Running.
If the dude don't move, the dude don't groove. And so the more we are active, the more our lymphatics will move, the better our circulation. We will get some of us get a better release of endorphins. It helps manage blood sugar. And so when you mix activity, and golfing is, typically a 4-hour event, even if you're riding the cart. There's still, 10,000 steps you can find by, chasing around your little golf ball in your cart. You know what I mean? Much less if you're a good golfer and you can walk it and do the 10,000 steps. I've always wanted to be that guy, but I'm the one that puts 10,000 steps while in the cart, and to the point where I had to find another activity. But they say that if you really want to activate longevity and vitality, you've got to make sure that your nervous system is intact. You got to make sure that your blood sugar is stable, and you got to make sure your liver's cleansed, and you got to make sure you move and lift heavy things. And so exercise, weight-bearing exercise, is a powerful tool in managing your stress response and in managing your biochemistry. And so by releasing those endorphins, you'll feel better. Being in that outdoor air, people are like, what about the toxins in the air? There's more toxins inside your office building. There's more toxins inside your home than there is outside. Even if you're on a golf course, the most toxic place on the planet. I mean, it's one of the most chemically adulterated places. Sorry, my golf people. I mean, I love golf too. But it is so, I mean, those greens are pretty because of chemicals.
Right.
You know, the rough is prettier than your backyard because of chemicals. You know what I mean? And
That's why I loved it.
Loved it. Yeah. And I know people that go out and they come back and they have non-infectious allergy symptoms. They have to take lots of Allerplex and get on little liver work so that we can help their body, feverfew, Albizia, to make sure that those are different herbs that we use in the office for non-infectious allergens when they're out and about. So if you're somebody that has allergies and you can't go outside, and so that's a struggle for you, that's a good reason to reach out to Living Well Clinical Nutrition Center, because we want to be a health and wellness resource for you so that you can find ways to enjoy the activities of life that make you feel good, live good, and be good all your days. Moving on down the way here, we're looking at, what are some other things that we can do to support our body? So we've got sleep, we've got deal with the different food sensitivities, supporting the body with simply a multivitamin, a multimineral, and a fish oil. And then drop our stress trio right in there, the adaptogen, Mentran, and Nevaton. And, sometimes I was listening to a book this morning, and it was talking about the days where people would pop the rubber bands on their hand every time they're trying to change a habit or change a behavior. But the problem is that rubber band begins to irritate the skin, and we don't want to damage our bodies. So you could use different tactics to manage and support stress. So if you're somebody that naturally is new to the health and wellness zone and don't realize how powerful vitamins, minerals, and essential fats are, or herbs and minerals are, one, you've got to reach out. But two, what if you just use something simple? Like right now, most all of us we can go find some access point to get ice. Take an ice cube and just squeeze the tar out of it in your hand. And your hand will get mad at you, because it's cold, but it changes your space. It changes your attitude. If you're somebody that's into essential oils, many different types of oils I use simply peppermint or lavender, lemon, clove. These are some of my favorites that are very calming to the body and oftentimes therapeutic. They increase blood flow. They activate your lymphatics. They improve digestion. And a lot of people don't realize that their sensitivities or their lack of ability to fall asleep or their need for support is directly associated with how clogged up their bowels are. The average American's walking around with 10 to 15 meals, guys, caked up inside of your bowels. I mean, can you imagine, Kurt, if you had 10 to 15 meals caked up inside of you? It's possible
probably
you do. Yeah, I mean, it's the cheese.
It's the cheese. It just slows everything
it
down.
It does. And coming off of Thanksgiving, I think people are still dealing with the Thanksgiving stuff. They don't realize that the grains, the sugar and the dairy clog up and slow down the bowel's movement flow 37%. And therefore, the liver slows down 37%. Therefore, your thyroid slows down 37%. So your diesel engine, your metabolic engine has to slow down, and your body can't keep up with what you're asking it to do. And then now you're overwhelmed. Now we're pushing the wrong stress button, right? We've got to get it back under control. Support. Minerals, the stress trio, and I mean, it's just so wonderful to see how easy, if we can get the do to move, we can get the dude to move, a groove. You see, I had to try to change it there. Do to move, yes. Now, that says the dude didn't move, the dude don't groove. And that's in general movement patterns, but your bowels are singing that same tune, brother.
Right?
No doubt about it.
That's what I think of when I see that.
I can only imagine. I can only imagine. So the last thing that we can control, is sustenance. So real food. I find oftentimes people struggle with what is real food. I mean, I've watched patients that literally tell me they're sick, but I look on their food log and they are eating pizza that same day for lunch, and they don't realize that pizza is make-believe food. It's a cheat meal. it's not something that's sustainable. And it doesn't fall in the category of sustenance, because the real food drives real life. All life starts and stops at the cellular level, and nutrition, it is the driver of good health. And if you don't have good health, it's probably because you're not putting in real food.
One of the things, talking about control, and I feel, just part of controlling those things. Have you ever felt like life is like a video game? Have you ever thought that, like, you level up, when you make certain decisions?
Yeah,
or
and you feel good about yourself too. Yeah,
right. So, like, when you choose water over a Sprite, like those kind of decisions, and you're like, I just leveled up. I literally, every time I walk through the hallway, like, I just chose water. I did it yesterday. I was like, I just lost 3 pounds because
Dr. Chapa would be so proud of me.
I was like, I chose the water over Sprite, instantly lost weight. Like that goes through my head. Anyways,
it's true.
You can make control decisions, like at Little Bellamia in League City. If you go to Little Bellamia, you can order a pizza, but you can get cauliflower crust. You can get vegetables.
You
and
can
stuff.
level it up.
You can change a pizza, which was originally meant to not be of sustenance, and make it of sustenance by making those small choices. And you know what? Cauliflower crust, as much as you think that it's going to be disgusting, is actually better than real pizza.
Well, I think that means that your taste buds are developing. I'm so proud of you.
What? Leveling up. I just lost 5 more pounds.
No,
watch out,
excellent,
Pastor Josh.
Excellent. So make-believe food drives make-believe health. So make sure that you're eating real food. And many people don't realize, like you just said, a lot of restaurants today offer healthier options. A lot of restaurants today do advertise, like I know Jason's Deli is a partially hydrogenated restaurant, so they don't use ingredients that clog up your liver. And now they have some cheeses and stuff there that clog up your bowels. But I mean, when you look at oils, the oils that people cook with, people don't realize are very much so slowing down metabolism and wrecking the liver's ability to keep up with the daily demands of toxicity, metals, chemicals, burdens that our bodies are exposed to in the environment. And so, again, the sustenance piece comes back to making sure you're eating foods that are rich with vitamins, minerals, and essential fats. Making sure that you see, one of our 10-day detox programs, it is going to teach you through the shopping list what foods to eat more of, what foods to eat less of, and how you can integrate those. And you will find that every little detox that you do cleans out your liver, cleans out your lymph, cleans out your bowels, and teaches you new foods to eat. And just because you don't like tomatoes today doesn't mean that you might not like some sort of healthy vegetable during the process. And you just take the new vegetable that your body says yes to. And just like my pets, I think that because they're a little bit more instinctual, as where I'll just keep repeating the process. I think that animals will, like horses, they'll put salt licks out in the field. They don't always go and lick on it every day, but it makes sure that their body's getting adequate electrolytes and minerals off from that salt lick. So I think that animals have a tendency to go towards what their body needs if it's available to them. And of course, if it's not available to them, they'll start seeing decline. They'll start to see degeneration happening. And if we see that degeneration happening, it's symptoms. And those symptoms are things that your body is developing and calling out for help. All you got to recognize is anything your body can develop, it can also undevelop. And you just have to change the parameters. You got to change what you're putting in as a fuel source. And so sustenance is a really big deal. So if you're eating make-believe food, remember, the best you'll ever have is
make-believe health.
Make-believe health. So even as good as that sugar taste going down, nothing below your taste buds wants it. It is the enemy. It is going to wreck your system in many ways, more than I can count. I've got a little document, too. I don't know if we can pull it quick, but it's 146 ways that sugar can wreck and ruin your health. And when you read through it, it's like fine print because I had to get it all on one page. But it's pretty phenomenal. I mean, every system of the body, neurologically, cardiovascularly, immunologically, they say like a cookie and a Coke can paralyze your immune system for 8 long hours. Well, in the world of fear of getting viruses, that's the last thing you want to be doing. But that's what people are doing. They're still drinking their sodas. They're still drinking their sweets, or eating their sweets. I guess drinking their sweets too. They're finding all these rationalizations for bad behavior, and still stuffing these poisons down their throat, and wondering why their bodies are not moving forward on their health journey.
Have you noticed though also that products are getting more are changing how they're approaching people who are trying to make a switch away from sugar? So I noticed Coca-Cola, not to make it, I'm not calling out anybody on this, but like they now have Coca-Cola Energy.
Oh, no, I haven't seen this.
Yeah, so they have Coca-Cola Energy, and it's, because everyone's now on this craze that they have to have an energy drink in the morning. And I don't remember, like, even a year or two ago going to the gas station and they have like 3 coolers full of energy drinks, and there's like, all these different kinds of energy drinks, Monster, and I feel like you just walk around and you see people now carrying around an energy drink every single morning. And so now these other products are like, oh, we'll jump on this craze for a little bit.
And it makes you wonder, like, what is it that people are looking for that they need all that rocket fuel to get their day started or to sustain their day? They oftentimes have a deficiency in their body, vitamins, minerals, or essential fats.
Right.
They have visceral issues, that's organ issues, glandular issues, congestion in the body that's slowing down their body from performing optimally well throughout the whole day. And so if you're finding that you constantly are needing a stimulant to keep pushing forward, that's an indicator that your body's under distress, and you better be supporting it. Because if you keep reaching just for the stimulant, and you don't do things to do the foundational work of repair on the glandular axis, you will crash at some point. It's possible that you'll crash depending on the level of stresses that you're under. But here, at the end of the day, you're more better to regenerate and repair if you're getting good sleep, if you're eating well, real food, if you're supporting with multivitamins, multiminerals, and essential fats, which we use several different types, everything to support the vegetarian population, to the vegan population, to the meatitarian population, or to the crazy new diet, and you're not sure where to start the population. We've got tools and resources, and then the last thing that I want to talk about that I don't think a lot of people reach out to is prayer. The Bible references in Philippians and John and 2 Chronicles and Matthew that the power of prayer is amazing. And I know that just like the anxiety passage that's in Philippians 4, 6, and 7 helped my wife through some college years, helped me through my college years, because there's lot of stress. And there was always a joke when we'd go to seminars and stuff about, oh, we got another student here stressed out, ha, 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 and they just kind of poke fun at them instead of really support us. It's like, hazing,
I feel like it doesn't change though, or at least it hasn't changed for me.
What, the stress?
Like the expectation that you're going to work hard, I guess.
Well,
maybe.
But again, that's the whole thing, right? This is where I really want people to grab hold of, that you have to be supporting yourself,
right.
To just let life happen. Like if you're a patch-up care kind of person, meaning you never take a multivitamin, and I'm not a proponent of just any, okay? Like I use very specific things at Living Well that I've tried and true, proven to myself and to my patients, through my patients, that these things are really supporting underlying nutrient deficiencies that we're carrying and have a need for. If you're not supporting yourself dietarily, if you're not supporting yourself through supplemental intervention, you are missing a huge piece of your day, man. You got to and a lot of times support yourself multiple times a day. I have patients that come in the afternoon and they hadn't taken their lunch subs, and I can tell. And I say, hey, you haven't taken your lunch subs today, and they go, how'd you know? I said, well, because of this, and I just read the signs, and they go, that's crazy. And if we could just get it from one a day, that would be amazing. But maybe we could get it from one a day if we weren't so stimulant driven, if we weren't so burning the candle at 3 ends. Oh, wait, there's only 2 ends of the candle. Yeah, that's right, because you're burning one in the middle too. You got, and so you're shortening and your lifespan. You're disqualifying your quality of life. You're not having the fun that you need. And I think that when anxiety attacks happen and you don't have anywhere to turn, first and foremost, you again do your very best to take responsibility for the feeling. And instead of running from it, grapple with it.
Right.
Name it. Like, what is it that I'm dealing with? And sit with it for 5 minutes. Commit to sit with your anxiety for 5 minutes, as scary as that sounds to some of you. And I know some of you are probably saying, you don't know, you never had. I got it. I know. You're preaching the choir, man. I've helped and served so many people. I've been through certain situations and challenges myself. And if you sit with it, if you commit to sit with it for 5 minutes, you'll get bored with it in 3.
Right.
I mean, and I mean, sometimes I can't even go say in silence for 5 minutes, but with no anxiety, much less at least have something to wrestle with. Name that thing and then go to battle, because your brain loves challenges. It loves opportunities to win, and it will win. Remember, Mrs. Defeat or Mrs. Triumph, Mr. Defeat or Mr. Triumph. Who do you want to win? Who do you feed? You sit with it with confidence and know that with prayer. Do not be anxious about anything, but in everything, by prayer and petition, present your requests to God, and the peace that surpasses all understanding will guard your heart, your mind, and your soul through Christ Jesus. I mean, I love that. You can lean on spiritual weapons of warfare. Then we look at, we can bring people together. Matthew 18:20, where 2 or 3 are gathered together, there Jesus is in the midst. So we're never alone, even when we think we're alone. And we just underestimate the power of prayer. I mean, the Bible says, in 1 Thessalonians 5:16, it says, rejoice always. And then in 17, it says, pray without ceasing. In all things give thanks, for this is the will of God through Christ Jesus our Lord. And I think that, if we would grab hold of some of those things, sit with your anxiety and be thankful. What, Lord, can I learn from this? What am I learning from this? Where's this coming from? You start asking questions, and what begins to happen when you grapple with it is you move out of your primal brainstem and you go back into your cortices in the cortical brain, and that's where the stress gets back under control. Because when you start asking yourself questions, how do I want to feel right now? I'd like to feel not stressed out. Yeah, but I'm like really fired up right now, and I'm in a flare, and I'm going to blow up, whatever. You say, I understand. How do you want to feel right now? And what can you do right now to change it? Can you go for a walk? Can you squeeze an ice cube? Can you pray with a friend? Can you be a friend that sees that in another and go to that person and serve them? Can you invest in the help bank and serve another and not just be so indulgent and thinking that it's all about you in life, but like see that other people are really suffering and go and be at their side? Can you do that?
What you just said made me really miss recess. As a little kid, that was the way to get away.
Too bad we don't have like a little bell right now. We could just go play ball in the yard.
It's almost 10 o'clock. We could go do that now.
We could. It's so close. We're 1 minute till. And so I never want people to walk away from a conversation. I mean, we're trying to take stress, anxiety. It's obvious people are dealing with this stuff. I mean, I've had stress and anxiety where people are cutting and hurting themselves to suicidal thoughts and attempts and things of that nature. And youth as well. I mean, like not just middle-aged. I mean, all ages of life. Stress, like you said, it seems that expectation never goes away. But knowing where your help comes from, it comes from the Lord. Knowing that you're not alone because He's in the fire with us. I mean, He talks about that. And when Meshach, Shadrach, and Abednego were in the fire, there was a fourth person in there. And these guys came out, they didn't even smell of smoke. In Jude, it talks about that we're to pull our brothers and sisters out of the fire so that their clothes don't even are not even tainted with the hint of smoke. I mean, so we are snatching. We that are healthy, that have our healthy living suit on. In taking the bull by the horns and taking control of what we can, have an ability to serve our fellow man and to love our fellow man and to be there for our fellow people that are out there, in this challenge of life. So be observant that there are people that are really dealing with life's challenges and stresses, and be there for them. Ask them questions. Hey, how can I serve you? How can I be a better friend to you? Do you need to call me when you want to talk? I just want you to know, like, yes, I missed you last night. Why didn't you come to the party? But here's why. I like you, and I miss the camaraderie. So it's not that I'm checking in or trying to control you. It's that I care about you, and so I think that we can show Jesus to a lot of people. And I think that there are a lot of resources through sleep, food allergy elimination, through nutritional support, and real food sustenance to rebuild and control the stress machine that's coming at us. And it's coming at every one of us at all times. So grab hold of this information and know beyond a shadow of a doubt that, at Living Well Clinical Nutrition Center, we believe that all life starts and stops at the cellular level, and nutrition drives it. It drives it up, it drives it down. And we want you to choose life well. We want you to choose resources that you can control, and we want you to let go of the fact that you can't control it all. And so we just pray that you have a blessed afternoon, a blessed day. If you see me out and about, say hi, take a picture with me. I'm going to be everywhere today.
Are you wearing that all day?
All day, baby. I might even wear it tomorrow because I like it so much. Sorry, patience. They're going to be like, oh, no. I got to deal with this clown today.
Oh, man.
But sometimes you never know, man.
It's not a clown suit, though. It's a Santa suit.
It is Santa. Set up, ready, faux Christmas, baby.
All right, so thank you so much for coming in today, Dr. Chapa. It's all about adding those puzzle pieces back together.
That's right.
And making sure, finding what you can control and what you can't control, and how do you make that so that you can control it, attack it, and overcome it.
And that's what we're going to be teaching people each and every day, especially through the holidays, going into the detox season coming up in January. So give us a call, 281-554-8600. Have a blessed and wonderful afternoon.
Still to come on 99.5 FM KHEA Radio, we got new music from Hillsong and more. So tune in to 99.5 FM KHEA Radio in Lamarck, Texas. Coming up next, Hillsong, Where the Spirit of the Lord Is. This is 99.5 FM KHEA Radio. You can listen at KHEAradio.com or download the KHEA Radio app. Have a good day, everybody.
For we know the truth, your truth has set us